Yes, I believe in you, you believe in me, and I believe that we can make our dreams a reality. Good morning, Baltimore. Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore, where information is power, but it is not power. It holds no essence at all unless you do something with the information. And that is why we are here. Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People, and hope y'all had a great weekend. I was blessed to have been invited to the Sabbath Day Keepers Convocation, where I did a seminar on the music wars in the church. It was a great gathering of the older saints who come to church every Saturday. You know, I always liked Saturday for my choir rehearsals, because it just seems like there's something about that day that is just holy. Sometimes, a lot of times, especially in Los Angeles, when I was minister of music at West Angeles Church of God in Christ for over 20 years, there was something very spiritually connecting to the Saturday. And sometimes we would be rejoicing. I would teach a song, and the Spirit of the Lord would come in that place, and we would just spend a lot of the time just rejoicing and worshiping God. And the one thing I noticed about it, I could teach a song that Saturday, and they could sing it the next day and wear it out.
That's right.
That's right. The saints would go in because the anointing was in the song. A lot of people don't want to give credit. I heard a preacher at that convocation say she never saw where nobody preached on their way into heaven. I don't have to differ with that. Every time I ever looked, they sung their way into to wherever they was going. When they brought the Ark of the Covenant into the city, the Bible says that David danced so that he danced out of his clothes. All right? So that he had to have music to dance out of his clothes. So we get these old wives' tales and we spread them and make people discredit what they believe to be something that intimidates them or makes their power less. But I tell you what, the song in our hearts is what keeps us. How many times have we gone to church? We don't remember the title of the preacher's sermon, but we remember that song that took us through the whole week, because I hear it all the time. Thank you. That song blessed me the whole week. How many times do preachers hear about a sermon? And I ain't trying to put them down, but let me tell you, ain't gonna be no preaching in heaven. Ain't gonna be nothing but singing. Good morning again. Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Please say hello to my co-host, Mr. James C. Moran, who shudders when I say things like that. But you know what? When he drops his head, he don't want to be make sure nobody think that he's a part of my radical thinking. But it is my truth because of 70 years of experience. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, Patrick. Hello, Baltimore.
Mr. James C. Moran.
And I'm older than you.
You're older than me? Are you?
I think so.
How old are you?
70.
We're both 70.
When will you turn 71?
I'll be 70 on January 15th.
I'm older than you.
You're older than me. All right.
October.
All right. October. Oh, wow. Well, you are. Well, I tell you what. I don't know. I hope that's not Richard. Richard, are you there? Richard?
We lost Richard.
Okay, I'll drop that. I did just drop. He's calling right back. Well, we're just going to I'm going to wait till Richard comes. Go ahead.
You aren't going to talk about Sunday Best, are you?
No, I didn't. I haven't been watching it, and I should, because they're doing some of my songs from on Sunday Best, and they already done sent me some checks for them, and them some good checks. But no, I didn't watch it. But we will get to that. Richard, are you there?
I'm back.
Hi, Richard.
Please say hello and welcome my other anchor for forever. I hope God bless his heart and give him strength and heal his body as we speak, Mr. Richard Terry. How are you, Richard?
I'm doing reasonably well, everybody. You know where I'm sitting in the Attila the Hun chair at my computer working on a few things.
Well, a few things. You're probably one of the greatest multitaskers that I've ever met, and we are so thankful to have you and Richard, you and James here, and also Mr. Jason Rodriguez, the super producer, and also a co-anchor on Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Hi, Jason.
Good morning, family. Praise God. Praise the Creator for another day. It's going to be beautiful today. Just want to remind everyone we are now streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube, so you can go check in on us and get to see everybody in the studio, as well as Patrick Henderson and all of his wonderful glory this morning.
Well, the glory of the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and he has anointed me to preach the gospel, although I'm not conventional in my way of doing it, because I don't need to scream at you. I don't need to raise my voice at you. I just need to remind you that God is love and that God is peace. And the way we know that God is in you is how much you love. That's what Jesus told us. He said he'd know how much we love him by the way we love one another. I don't care who you sleep with. All I care about is you don't hurt children, you don't harm children, and you don't beat women. Okay? You don't steal. You don't go covet your neighbor's wife. Uh-huh. Well, what are you leading to, Patrick?
The Ten Commandments.
The Ten Commandments. This week I was getting ready to tell you all that I was at this convocation called the Sabbath Day Keepers Convocation, a convention, and they held it at Tyson's Corner in Virginia, Northern Virginia. And for the first time in my life, and I have been in church since my inception, I told you all, and I'm writing my book now, so y'all going to be on the lookout for it. But my mother told me when I was in her womb, they'd be in church, and it was a sanctified church, and they'd be in there having church. She said I would be jumping in time to the music in her belly. So the Church of God in Christ got a saying. They said you can't join it, you got to be born it. I was born into the Church of God in Christ. So I'm telling you all that I love the Lord with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. But I know I can't love him if I don't love you, my neighbor, because he said I got to love you as I love myself. And it took me 68 years to start learning to love myself. But I now understand what the Spirit of the Lord was saying when he told us to do that. So right now, before we go any farther, please let us bow our heads. If you're near a radio or you have your cell phone in your hands, not if you're driving, don't do it. Don't touch your radio. Don't close your eyes. You can touch your radio, but don't close your eyes. But right now, we'll come to before the throne of God, the God of great possibilities. Oh God, our Father, Lord, we bless you this day. We thank you for another opportunity to rise and give you the glory, to worship you for all things, oh Lord, for understanding, for helping us to move about our day, move about our lives, oh God, to find peace in the midst of storm, to find peace in the midst of chaos, oh God, to find peace in the midst of misunderstanding, to find peace in the midst of people putting words in our mouths and making us out to be monsters, oh God, when we really all we want to do is to love one another and to unify our people. Lord, we ask you to bless us, bless this city. Oh Lord, people are killing each other. Our young people are dying at a pace that is just so horrifying and scary, because who will be left, oh God, to lead us if we don't have the young people, wiping out a whole generation with bullets to the head, oh God. Lord, touch our parents, touch our families, touch our homes, oh God. Help our parents to understand they can't beat love into their children. They can't use fear in our children. They got to put understanding, to talk to them, to ask them why before they hit them, oh God. Help us to understand that celebration goes a lot longer than correction, oh God, because in celebration we validate them, oh God. That is the root of our problem. I believe it. I see it every day when I go into my classroom, oh God. The children are angry. They're angry at the world, but actually they're angry at their parents, whom they can't fight back because they're their parents. So they come to school and they take it out on their classmates, and they take it out on their teachers. Oh God, help our parents to understand that they must treat and love our children as though they're the most precious thing on this earth, because they are. Jesus told us to suffer them not. Let them come unto us, oh God, and from the mouth of babes, oh God. Let us tap into that. Let touch our hearts, oh God. Let us rethink the way that we raise our children. Mama them did it a certain way, oh God, but it ain't working no more, oh God. Well, some of us got by with it, but some of us have been scarred for life. Oh God, help us to understand, oh God, that the rod is not always a weapon, that the tongue is also a rod, and that we can correct and set, and also to understand that there are two rods when there is a conversation. Children have a rod, and let us allow them to use that rod and not be intimidated because they're a child, to understand that their minds are critically thinking, and that's what they're going to need the rest of their lives to communicate, oh God. Lord, we bless you for this time. We bless you for this station. We bless you for the owner, Kathy Hughes, oh God, and Alfred Liggins, oh God. Ask you to go right now wherever they are and touch them, quicken their bodies, quicken their minds, bless them, whatever they might be going through, oh God, in their business. Oh Lord, make the pathway clear, oh God. Oh God, we pray for Miss Hughes' mom, oh God, who's hanging in there, oh God. And she's going on next month to be with her the whole month. She's blessed to still have her mom, and every one of us who still have our parents, we are blessed to have them, no matter what they did to us or how they did it to us, oh God. We are grateful, oh God, that you gave us people that loved us and kept us and helped us to become who we've become. We thank you, O Lord, and we ask you again to bless this city. Bless the mayor, bless the governor, bless the city council, oh God. Quicken them, oh God. Get this old thinking out of them. Let a progressive move over this city, oh God. Touch the people of this city, oh God. Those who are sick in the hospitals right now, oh God. Touch them right now, Lord. Give them hope, oh God. Give them peace, oh God. Heal their bodies and heal our land. In thy Son, Jesus Christ's name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. It was a little long today. I got up this morning and I said, Lord, bless this day, bless this day. And when I left the house, I forgot that I had asked him to do it, James. And as I was driving, all the lights was green. I got here in 10 minutes. Yeah, I got a little heavy foot, you know. I guess where I'm going. But 10 minutes. And I just said, when I got pulled around that last light, I said, I understand what grace is. Grace is you ask, and then you forget you've asked. You walk in it. You live in it. You exist in it. Oh, yeah, I got a quickening. Yeah, I did, because the Lord has reminded me to say yes and to each and every one of you. In fact, I want you to pull up my song, Yes, Lord. If you can find it, Jason. Yes, Lord, because I want to close out with Yes, Lord, today. That is in my spirit. And if you don't have it, I'll send it to you, because I want that to be all this week. We're going to say Yes, Lord. Because when you say Yes, Lord, it is the most positive word in the English language. Yes, Y-E-S. So we're going to get moving here. Thank God for this time, and thank God for you for joining us. Well, so much is going on in the city, and I was listening to Larry Young's show this morning. He had a great show this morning. He had the superintendent of schools, Dr. Santelises, on, and she's always interesting, although her understanding of what accountability is certainly compromised in a lot of ways. You know, they caught them changing grades on the report cards of a lot of the kids. Social promotion, it's called, and she found all kinds of ways to try to not take responsibility for it. And I believe it was the WBAL who sued for it, the information, and the school board lost it. The information lost the case, and they had to pay $150,000 in damages and in the legal bills of that TV station for exposing, because they, even after the judge told them to do it, they still didn't want to do it.
It was Channel 45.
Channel 4. Oh, it was Fox.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stand Fox News, but locally, I tell you, they always coming through.
Project Baltimore.
Project Baltimore. That is a great show. I sometimes miss Lawrence O'Donnell because on MSNBC at 10 to go listen to what Fox 45 is doing. Yes, Jason, you want to say something?
They say that's what cost a few elected officials their seats.
Really?
Yeah, because of there was a hearing that took place, and they were up there during an educational committee. And they just, the way it was portrayed, it looked like a little bit of arrogance among the part of the elected officials.
There's a lot of arrogance.
I was going to say, that's a surprise.
Yeah, you're right. Not. Let's talk about the city council. Larry was also talking about this morning the fact that the guns in the hands of people without licenses. And Jason, I heard you this morning, and you were explaining to the people the reason that the city council voted against charging people for the first time offense for a gun, carrying a gun. And you said, and I heard you very clearly, that you were a part of that. You voiced your opinion about it. That there would be a lot of seniors.
Brother Tyrone and the ACLU had some of the same objections as well. Say they were afraid that if the law was too tough, that person coming out of their home that may have forgot that weapon inside their carry-on luggage, may have put it in their car, may have been on their way to the airport, and didn't realize that it was in there, get pulled over by Baltimore City. There's a minimum mandatory, and the judges won't be able to have any type of judiciary discretion in this particular case, and you'd be sentenced to 5 years.
But why not put a caveat in the law that says that this person is not an offender, or if this person's at a certain age and they were exclusively carrying it for their protection?
That's what the amendments are. So the amendments, so what it is, it's a second offense. So you have to have a second offense, and it has to be a weapon used or a gun used in an act of a criminal act. So if you, as long as you're not using the weapon in a criminal act, it's still considered a misdemeanor.
Why? That to me is just asinine. Excuse me, nothing personal, but
I've shared you my story before, so I didn't have a carrier's permit. If it wasn't for the fact that I had that weapon on me during Mother's Day, when that man came into the Metro PCS to come rob that Metro PCS that day, I would have lost my life. But because he had his hands inside his sweatpants and struggled to get the weapon out of the drawstring that was in his sweatpants, I was able to draw first. Now, because it was Mother's Day, I didn't take someone's son's life and allowed him to leave and run and get out my store. But again, if I didn't have that on me and I wasn't necessarily allowed to carry it legally in the street, it's for home defense.
Why weren't you allowed to carry it in the street?
Because of the carry to conceal permit is so restrictive, and it has gotten even more restrictive since the new gun laws have taken place and the new gun legislation has taken place. It's become even more restrictive.
And those restrictions are counterproductive in the protection of ourselves. And so why haven't we fought to get those restrictions changed?
Thank you. Can thank your Democratic General Assembly for that little deal.
Please explain why. What do you mean when you say that, Richard?
There used to be an appeal board when there was a decision made on whether or not you could get a carry permit or not get a carry permit. You could appeal the decision. But the last session of the Maryland General Assembly, they got rid of that appeals board.
Why?
Who knows?
Who knows? Well,
but this again is your great General Assembly.
Well, and now it's handled, Richard, through the state police department, correct?
Yes,
correct. And it's even more restrictive because, of course, because it's more restrictive because the law enforcement is not going to allow an average citizen unless you have some.
Well, it's not like a lot of states do have regular concealed carry, and in some states you have open carry laws.
Yes, Texas,
Georgia, I think parts of Virginia, and I know out west they do.
And so in the process, the bad guys, are getting these guns. We don't know where. I heard Michael, what's our new police chief named Michael? Harrison yesterday on, what's his name, Brown's show on PBS, on WEAA. They interviewed him, and he was very, very clear about what his thoughts are on this. And his problem is, and as Leo, who is not with us today, so we miss him, has always been saying, where do those guns go once they confiscate them? And the police chief is contending that those guns are destroyed.
Patrick, they've been talking about that for the past 20 years.
How do they get back to the street though? Where are the guns coming from?
Well, a lot of them are coming up up the 95 corridor, primarily from the Virginias and the Carolinas. How
about the Pennsylvanias?
Well, Pennsylvania to a certain extent, but
it's more Virginia. Virginia has more relaxed rules.
And so does Carolina.
Right. And then not only just that, too, as well, there's been a rash, I'd say, over the last maybe 10 years, a rash of smash and grabs.
Gun store takeovers.
Right, where they actually will, and in some cases where the gun stores were robbed itself, where they came in with multiple folks into the store.
When was the last time that happened in Baltimore?
Well, not Baltimore, but they had it in Montgomery.
Yeah, they do it in Baltimore County. They usually will hit the county gun shops.
They hit the county gun shops.
And they had two within the last a couple of months ago.
Wow.
Where they drove a truck straight through the front door.
Yeah, they happen. I thought they happened in counties that surround Baltimore, basically. Baltimore County and Montgomery County.
Right, because there's only one gun store that I know of in Baltimore, and that's up in the upper end of
Parkville.
Near Parkville,
Harford Road.
Yeah, Harford Road.
Yep.
Valley Gun Shop is what it's called.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Wow. Well, my concern is that, first of all, how do they get the guns? Who buys or who sells those guns? And because they don't profile white people that are coming in on the freeways or whatever, they probably miss the people with the guns in the cars. They'll profile black people who are not inventing these guns, not inventing, but not what do they call it? Trading guns. There's a word for trafficking.
Trafficking. Well, what they do is a lot of times, especially down south, they'll do what are called straw sales.
What is that?
A straw sale is where they'll get a third party to. If you cannot buy one, you'll get somebody else, like a cousin or a friend or somebody like that. You'll give them the money. They'll buy the weapon in a state that has very relaxed laws, and then they'll either give it to you or sell it to you.
Well, that's very interesting. They'll sell it to you, but if like I said, because they profile black people, they miss the real culprits who are hindering and hurting our community.
Well, I keep saying, who are the black gun manufacturers?
There are none.
Wait a minute. They were talking this morning about how do drugs get here. How many of y'all saw last week where J.P. Morgan, they had a container? Was it? No, it was on an airplane, wasn't it?
It was a ship. They owned the ship.
J.P. Morgan owned the ship. How much cocaine did they find? Was it 10,000 pounds? It was tons of it?
Yeah, well, they had a little mini sub, too.
A mini sub. Was that owned by J.P. Morgan also?
Who knows?
Well, that just lets us know that the government is involved with this. And what they want to do is continue to keep the black community inundated with these drugs. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at the average drug addict on our streets. Just take a ride on the west side in the mornings, and you will see the average heroin addict. These are older people. These are people who are in the latter part of their lives, or their lives have been shortened in their looks because the drugs are eating away at them. I don't see young people out there buying drugs. I see the young people selling the drugs.
Now, I'll tell you what the real funny part about that is, as much narcotics as was seized, the people who were probably with those narcotics will get less time than the average person in many of these urban areas who were smoking crack because of the way the law is structured.
Of course.
Yeah, that powder and the crack form, and the way that the cocaine is used. Well, the phones are lit up, but I want to.
Well, just one more thing. Just a factoid, folks. 173 people have been killed in Baltimore since January 1. 155 of them were because of guns and shooting.
Yes, and how
173 and 155 were gun related.
And how many of those 153 died?
All 155 died.
All in because those gunshots were to the head.
Well, they don't say exactly where. They just say in the statistics. They say either blunt force trauma or shooting or knifing or unknown.
Or unknown.
Yeah.
We're going to go right to the phones.
They say that shootings are up 23. Well, non-fatal shootings are up 23%.
I want to talk about why, but I'm going to take some calls because I don't want to thank you for each and every one of you that are calling in, because we need to talk. Gene, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Yeah, good morning. Got basically a comment and a question in reference to straw sales. I'm glad you mentioned that. Spent time in Indiana, and Indiana is close to Illinois and Michigan, right? Okay, so that's Chicago and Detroit. In Indiana, they do straw sales, and that's where the guns come from, basically, in those two major cities.
They can buy multiple guns, one person?
Yeah. I mean, because it's, in Indiana, it's like Virginia. You know what I mean? It's a carry state. Guns are available. You have Southwest Indiana is the capital of the Klan. You know what I mean? So so that's what you have. You have people in other communities who buy guns and make a profit.
So you're saying these young people are buying these guns? Where do they get the money from? The drug sales to buy guns?
Yeah.
And what would you say? I don't know that you would know. I don't think you're related to
my nephew got a 9mm from Virginia.
And how much did he pay for it? Do you know?
Yeah, about $600.
Wow. So they're not cheap.
And I've always carried a weapon, but what I did was I carried it in my trunk, and there's no law against of transporting a weapon. But this is what I called about the General Assembly, and I couldn't figure this out. There's how many members in the General Assembly? About 140 some.
Yes.
Okay, 40 some black people in the Black Caucus. So that's a remainder of about 100, right?
Right.
And so 50, let's just say 50 of them are Republicans and 50 of them are white Democrats, right? And usually they have more in common than we do. That's why they could get the majority 71 vote to pass these, all these laws in Maryland and in Baltimore that are basically against what we want to do.
The common good of the people is the word I believe that you're looking for. It's not only
that agrees with me, Patrick, and you guys have a great day.
Bless you. Thank you always for your call. We're going to go to Tyrone. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. We got an open line, 410-481-1010. 410-481-1010. Tyrone, welcome. Do you have a question or comment?
Yes, Patrick, I just sent you via text.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm looking at it.
A link to the stats as far as last year, the murders. You're correct. Most of them, or one of your panel members is correct, most of them were headshots, which would indicate that they were executions.
Yes. Shot in the head. Yes.
Yeah. When somebody shoots you in the head, you've been targeted for execution.
What do you think about? I heard someone say this morning. These are normally arguments and wars and misunderstandings between two people. That's why it seems to be so pervasive.
I would have to disagree. Most black people in the city have never murdered anybody. So the average middle class black person has no idea why somebody would murder somebody. In their mind, they would think, "I got to be mad at them to murder them," but that's not necessarily true. I think. In any situation, if you studied where they have a large movement of black market, and this history has taught us this, black market items, such as during the Prohibition period, where alcohol was illegal.
Yes.
We had white folks murdering each other. You had the St. Valentine's Massacre.
Yes.
You had large numbers of murders in Chicago.
That was mafia, yes, related.
Yeah, between the gangs of Bugsy Malone and
Al Capone.
History, and Al Capone, exactly. So this type of thing, we have impoverished people, which at that time were Italian, and you have a highly valuable black market items such as alcohol or drugs or anything of that sort. Then you'll have a lot of violence that comes with fights over territory, or and in the case of Baltimore, you have drug gangs that are
territorial,
and also if you do something to my posse.
Right.
Then I got to retaliate.
Revenge.
Also, if you steal my drugs,
yes.
You come up with me and rob me and take my drugs, I can't go to the police and say, officer, they took my drug money.
Hold on for a minute. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. We've got to go away for commercial. Don't you touch that dial. It's going to get hot up in here.
And this is not the time to go off.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore. Brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear on 1010 WOLB
are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
It's done unto you as you believe. It's done unto you as you believe.
All right, we're back on the air. We're going to go to Tyrone. Tyrone, we're already talking to you. You had some valid points there. Tell me this, and everything that you said is true, and we see the evidence of it. But I contend that these children are not, these young people that are shooting and killing each other, a lot of them are not well mentally. A lot of them have lead in their blood because their parents are lead poisoned, and it's in their blood marrow or their bone marrow now, and they're passing it on to their children. I'm suggesting that all of the children that have been diagnosed with lead poisoning be contacted, find out how they're doing, if they need help, if they need some mental help, what is the word I want to use, help to make sure that they're not doing these things. This is what I'm concerned about, because this is not normal. We're not killers of people. If we were, it wouldn't be no white folks left on the face of the earth. We'd have wiped their butts off a long time ago. So we're not violent people, not by nature. So what do you think of that?
Okay, this is what I think of. First of all, the myth is that all of our children are committing murders. That's not true. We're not all committing these murders. There's a small segment of people that are committing these murders. And, the average, the average person, the stuff I sent you, the average murder victim, not the killer, They don't know. They don't catch each other all the time. But if you're murdered, your body's going to be laying there, so you ain't going nowhere. The average murder victim, not all, 84% of them had criminal records.
How many?
Majority of them
84.
were drug dealing.
84%. Okay.
84%. Now, and the average person killed in Baltimore, murdered. Not, and again, not everybody.
Has a criminal record.
Murdered has at least 10 charges.
Yeah.
Well,
So this is a select group of people that are being murdered. You know what I'm saying? As well, and most of them, that's only 30 of them were above the age of 50. So it's not. I'm not saying that. Say that the blanket all black children saying they all going out murdering. That's
Right.
a falsehood.
Right.
It leads to justifications and all kinds of negative things.
Right.
People being barred from the harbor and riots being initiated by people stopping the bus lines at Douglas. You know, you got to be careful with the way we put this stuff out.
Yes, exactly. You cannot generalize. I agree.
Yeah, you cannot generalize. You got to do the analysis and try to figure out
What it is.
the root cause of this. And
All
like
right.
I said, if you're in that drug culture, you can't go. You may have a warrant you, so you can't go to the police for everything. Somebody stole my drug money. Somebody stole my drugs. So you got to handle that on the street. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm not justifying.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's no justification, but that's the street law.
And you can't go to the police if they're corrupt as well.
Right.
Ooh, so you done stop
Yeah.
preaching and going to Midland
You know,
now.
you just gotta say it.
Thanks, Tyrone.
And
One more
and
thing.
Oh, hurry up, come
Miss
quickly.
Miss
One more
Dab,
thing, quick.
go ahead.
Hurry
One thing, along with the other guy just said,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times the police on the payroll of and this has been proven, of these drug dealers. So you can't always go to the police and snitch on them because they'll tell who snitched, as in the case of the dogs.
Exactly.
And a lot of go ahead, Jay.
And actually, Tyrone, I wanted to dispute that. It's the police officers have them on the payroll because if you remember, the Gun Trace Task Force was the ones that was selling the drugs.
And guns too.
And there was a case
Selling
of a young
guns,
man
too.
that told me about up there on Frederick Avenue how the officers. I remember the officer that got caught in the Western District for having the drugs. Remember that they arrested him.
Oh, yeah, on the parking lot.
Right. They were saying
selling
that
heroin.
Right. They were saying that actually there was a few of them that were doing, according to the street boys up there, and what they were doing was robbing the top of Emerson and bringing it down to the bottom of Emerson and forcing the boys to sell the drugs for them and bring the money back.
There were a couple instances.
Hold on, Tyrone. Go ahead, Richard.
I said there were a couple instances where that happened in the Northwestern District.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
was.
right. So
Yeah.
I dispute.
Right. So that
I
being
dispute
said-
that these guys, these street cats, are organized to the point where they're paying the officers off. No, I think it's the other way
Way
around.
around. I do
Okay,
too.
Yeah, so that being said, my initial point was that's why you can't always go to the police and snitch.
I understand.
Okay?
Thank
That's the way
you.
see it.
Thank you,
Everybody
Tyrone.
out because of peanuts.
All right, thank you so much. Great commentary. I've locked him in. What do I need to do, Jason? Just hit it again and then unlock him?
Yeah, just hit it again.
Okay.
And you remember Daphne Alston? Remember she's one of the organizers to Moms.
Yeah. She was on TV yesterday. I
Right.
saw that.
Did you hear what our son said? That he kept saying that retaliation leads to annihilation.
Yeah, man.
That was deep.
Powerful. That was very deep. We're going to go to Eshakira. What an interesting name. Eshakira, welcome to Patrick Henderson's meeting.
Isharak.
There's a K in there. Ishara. Let's get it right. Go ahead. Hello?
Good morning to you and the family there, Patrick. This is Ishakara.
Oh, Ishakara. Oh, hey, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, Tyrone had a mouthful there. I just wanted to call in and give you an update. The Valley Gun Shop, that place been closed for quite a while now. Up on Hartford and Taylor Avenue, the gun shop. But I believe there is only one gun store within the whole of the city limits of Baltimore City, and that's the Cop Shop, which is down there by police headquarters.
Street.
There are no gun stores in Baltimore City.
What?
Except that one.
There were two of them at one time, the Valley Gun Shop, and there was one down on Broadway at one time.
Right, that's the one on Broadway. That's been closed
That's
for a
been
long
closed for about 10 years
time.
now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you know the obvious reason why that is, right?
No, please tell us.
Because they don't want black folks to have access to guns. And if we, if you have situations like the Freddie Gray thing, they expect that we would hit the gun store. So to keep them out of our reach.
Wow, interesting. I did hear where a Republican said, "No, y'all don't want no war because the Republicans got all the guns, and you wimpy Democrats don't." So there might be this credibility to what you're saying.
Yeah, we've had a few ex-officers call here and say that.
Yep. Is that it? Did you want to say anything else, Shaka?
No, that's it, pretty much it. But
Thank you. Thank you. It was great commentary. Thank you for that information. We're going to go to Carlos now. Carlos, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Yes, sir. A couple of comments. Would it shock you that to hear that almost 100 people have been shot and killed in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital?
Yeah, they're up to 85. They're actually up by 8% over last year as far as their shootings are concerned.
Here's my central point. I can understand why Jason would need to have a weapon,
yes,
because he owns a business. But until you get, and this is a Republican thing predominantly, in order to get you would have to have a federal law. Now, I lived in the state of North Carolina. I don't know whether you folks have lived in other states, but the way they have an open carry law. There is no empirical evidence from the state of North Carolina or Virginia or any place that has open carry that the proliferation or access to guns have tamped down or kept down crime. In the state of North Carolina, if you will look, the violence and the gun, the shootings and so forth, in a lot of jurisdictions, even the smaller one, is off the chain. Now, so you have to look at that particular situation and then see whether open carry or concealed carry or what have you has an impact. And so I'm proud that Maryland is controlling the access to guns, and I hope that they pass a federal law that will across the nation that will interdict and control the flow of guns out there. And they were selling guns out of the Lexington market, by the way.
Yes.
And I'm sure they still have other places that sell it to to the young people, because guns is a means of empowerment. When you have no power, when you have no power, a gun makes you superior or puts empowerment in your hands, and it is extremely dangerous.
Yes, they are. Thank you so much, as usual, Carlos. Bubby, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Right before you, 410-481-1010. I'm going to give 5 more minutes to this subject, and then we got some other things we want to discuss with you. There's a bit of a radio debate going on between me and David Johnson Sr. Many of you know him. He's on, I believe, every Wednesday or Thursday, and I listen to him. I respect him very much. But he is telling people not to vote. And I think that is suicidal for our people. And we're going to discuss that next coming up. But right now, we want to hear what Bubby has to say. How are you, Bubby?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Great conversation. Let me start this by saying where I live at in 21217, there's no Glock millimeter manufactured warehouses. Where I live at in 21217, there's no cocaine production warehouses.
No coca leaves.
No opioids, no pills. So when you have these people come on the radio and try to give these anecdotal statistics about murders, let me tell you something. This is a father who buried 2 sons. So I know both of my sons were shot in the lower abdomen. So when you see, this would trip me out sometimes about these heroes on talk radio. You know, it was interesting that they didn't call me to speak to the fathers of the murdered sons, though, wasn't it?
No.
But let me just go, because that's one of the different. Let me tell you, I was called Friday to a public housing scattered unit site. That's a house of a 92-year-old lady. The conditions of the house were deplorable. The address, I will not hold up. I called public housing. I spoke to former people that I work with. They relayed the message to superintendents to get the work done. I checked back 25 minutes ago. No public housing maintenance person was dispatched to that unit. See, Patrick, people wonder why people like myself always calling out department heads. Because when it's something simple, when I could have got on the radio today and said something nice about the leadership of the Baltimore City Public Housing. I cannot. Because how could you let a 92-year-old lady who have complaints with deficiencies in her house not consider that an emergency? Now, again, I go back to it because I like to be on the record for what I say. Janet Abrams should be fired immediately. Now, I know that the city is in an uproar about this police being shot. But where I live at in Sandtown, when a police gets shot, that means...
On that whole city, and they knew they had well, it's alleged, but it just made sense to me. I don't want to be too much, but let me say this: the evidence points to. Okay.
What, suicide?
No, the evidence points to they shot, they killed him. So let's start there. Well, I wanted to ask you, how are things going at Poe Homes? What is their progress report on what's happening?
Well, I spoke to some maintenance employees Saturday, and they said that it was full water in the unit that they were working in.
It was what?
There was water in the unit, and the water pressure was up.
Okay.
They did alert me to that, and they say now because of the attention that was brought to Poe Homes, maybe they could be given the resources to do the job. But one of the things I want to say about that, do you know that the maintenance employees are in a contract fight with the city over benefits and financial money? Now, do you know they offered the employees of Local 647, which represent all the maintenance employees, a 1% raise while the director makes $200,000 a year? Something is wrong, and you wonder why the Baltimore citizens feel as though so apathetic about voting because the people that get in there. Do you think Jack Young walked across the street because it's literally across the street from Holiday Street to Fair Street to tell his director, do right by those employees, those 331 employees who happen to be at least 321 live in Baltimore City? I mean, I'm confused with the leadership that we get.
Well, you would think that with the... Yeah, go ahead.
You can cry and pay all these carpetbaggers 6 figures, and just quote me right, carpetbaggers 6 figures to come in from outside the city, and you made a great point. There should be a commuter tax. There should be a commuter tax.
That's right.
But this is what we go through, and like I went downtown because I was called about the collapse of the subway and the collapse of the infrastructure downtown, and people want to check about the response of the city to that in relation to Poe Homes. So I went down there for 2 days, and I watched all these people who don't look like me haul ass out of town. Can I say haul ass?
Yes, you can. Yes, you may.
I mean, you should have seen them. They have tunnel vision, look like they ran over the grandmothers, the babies, and everything, just to get out of the city. How can you pay people 6 figures and they're afraid of the people in the city, or they hate the people they work for?
Man, I agree with you 100%.
Now, Patrick,
yes, sir.
I do not want to tell you where I currently work at, but I work for the largest city agency in Baltimore. You know, so I'm just trying to tell you, if you hear what these people say about our children and how they're afraid of our children, how can they educate our children, Patrick? You talk about love, Patrick.
Yes.
What love do they have when you get off at 3 o'clock, your car starts at 2:58, and you're on the Beltway? Huh?
Clogging up the freeway, leaving nothing in this city at all but potholes and congested traffic. A commuter tax is what needs to be done, but the city fathers and the state fathers contend that we can't treat our neighbors like that. But look at the way they treat us. They won't even consider incorporating the county into the city. The freeways or the highways that stop at the line, anything within Baltimore that's a state highway, the state will not pay for its repairs, but yet these people are coming in here, clogging up the freeways and damaging the roads.
That's why we have 2 tunnels.
Hey, Patrick.
Yes,
hey, Patrick.
It's sad. Yes.
This lady, Miss Shirley, is 92 years old. Do you think it would take any type of entity from the housing authority to send their maintenance technician over there to repair the issues in her home so she can live the remainder of her life?
They don't care. They want her to die so they can have a vacancy. That might sound hard, y'all, but that's the way it's here. Yes.
Patrick, before I got on the radio, I called everybody I know. Please send somebody over there. The whole week Friday, I received this call from the neighborhood. You need to go look at this lady's house. I went there Friday. Now, I tried it. It does not take you long to go over there.
Right.
I'm getting calls right now from the housing authority telling me employees are sitting around that they don't know why they don't send them to fix. The address is 1412 Pressman Street.
Why didn't somebody go over there with their camera and put it on the news and send it to Fox?
Perfect. I already been in there and I got the pictures.
Well, then you need to send it to Fox News and they do it. All right, listen, Bubby. I know you.
And they don't do anything, because when me and Keisha had the incident with public housing, and we were kicked out of public housing, Stephen Janis came and did an investigation, and he saw that we had multiple work orders for issues out in Brooklyn homes that had never got resolved. They were just.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Do you know that the supervisor at Brooklyn Home is now at McCullough Homes? He is one of their protected persons.
Why do they keep putting these people that don't perform in new positions to not perform? Because it's the state of that particular organization?
Maybe a nephew of Jack Young.
Ooh. Is that verifiable that it is a relative of the mayor's?
Hey, if you go to the Department of Transportation, you only got about 40 relatives down there.
Hey, Bubba, we got to play this one for you.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
That don't stop us from saying it, though. Say it again. 40 people in the Department of Public Works you contend are relatives of the mayor.
Tons of them.
Tons of them. That needs to be checked, because that is what. Well, maybe because he wasn't the mayor, but he was the head of the city council. Is that not nepotism, James?
Let me tell you something. When I worked
if it's true, it's nepotism.
His brother was a hearing officer.
Hey, wait a minute. So is nepotism against the law? Richard,
we have the law,
Richard,
we have nepotism at the highest levels.
Yeah. So Richard, is it against the law, nepotism?
Technically, yes, because if you supervise, to have the ability to supervise an individual, that would be considered nepotism.
Richard, that's why when he was in city council, when he was city council president, he had to abstain from voting.
Abstain, yes.
Abstain many times. Many times because of a possible conflict of interest. Yeah.
Whoa, well, he needs to get that cleaned up. What is he going to do?
He might have already cleaned it up by abstaining.
By abstaining?
I don't think so. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Bubby. You're always on it. Bless you, man. And you know what? Before you go, man, I just wish you Godspeed, because you're consistent. And you've had to suffer a great loss. You said something earlier. You said it's always about mothers who've had sons killed. Very seldom do you hear about fathers who've had sons killed, because there are so few of the fathers who were fathers of these children, of these boys and these girls and women who are being killed. Yes, sir.
Pat, you 100, but you got to remember, most of the male men in the city council hate my guts.
That's all right. As long as they don't try to hurt you. I know it.
Oh, them cowards ain't going to come near me.
Yeah.
Just remember, Bubby, we love you over here.
Yes, we do, man. The city loves you too, and thank you. Thank you so much. All right, then. I wanted to move on to something, because it's in my crawl, as they say down south. Y'all know what a crawl is. A chicken has a little part of his crawl where the corn doesn't exactly, if it's hard corn, his crawl is where it has to be dissolved before it can go into its stomach. So I got this in my crawl. As many of you know, we have an election coming up here shortly. In April, I believe, will be our primary. And there are very influential people, or they're perceived to have influence on many of the people here in the city about voting and who to vote for. The people go to them and they listen to them, they respect them, and they pay attention to them. And I'm going to call his name directly, because I love this brother. If he's sick, I call him to see about him. If I was sick, when he found out I was sick, he called me to see how I was doing. So it's not that we dislike each other. There is no acrimony between us at all. He thinks I'm wrong for telling people to vote. I think he's wrong for telling people not to vote. So this morning, one of his soldiers or people that believe him says, isn't this the same book and God that you learn to pray from? And God you pray to when you open your show at 11:30 a.m. on Monday morning? Isn't that from the same oppressors? What contradictions? We'll be listening Monday. No, it's not the same God. Not at all. Not in one iota. This book that the white oppressors where they put in there the slaves are to honor their masters? No, I don't pray to that God. I have nothing to do with that God, and you shouldn't either. If you're a black person, we know that this book was designed with one intent, and that is to control people. I can tell you when they put the whole version of hell in the Bible. I can tell you when the whole concept of heaven was put into the Bible. I don't worship that God. No, I don't believe in hell. And if we go to heaven, good. Otherwise, I'm going to do the best I can with what I got while I'm living. Okay? Because I realize that if we put our hopes in something that other men have written, that we have had no input to, and look what it has done to us as a people. We've decided that we wanted to judge somebody else because of whom they sleep with, or what they eat, or where they go, or what they do. Who made us God? No. If I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to go back to the Egyptians, to Heru, who was the first Christ symbolism, who healed the sick and raised the dead, according to Egyptian history. This is where the whole concept of a Christ came from. There have been many Christ-like figures down through history. Jesus isn't the first one. We don't know that because we don't read. We refuse to read. So when I pray and I make it consistently known, I'm praying to the God of great possibilities, not the God of my oppressors. No, I do not honor that God. I honor the God of love. I honor the God of peace. I honor the God of the common good of all people. That is the one God that I honor and I pray to. No, I'm not interested in praying to the other God. They say, well, why do you go to church? You're a minister of music. Yes, and you would rest assured that I am a worshiper. I worship the true and living God, the God that is in my spirit, that speaks to me as I'm ministering to the people about what song to play, what is appropriate at this time to get through to the people that the love of God is a spirit, and they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth. We can get in the spirit, but the truth we seem to have a problem with. We want our truth, or the truth that we're preached, or the truth that we've learned, the truth that our parents have taught us down through the years. That is the truth, instead of reading and finding out for ourselves. They found in the last recession that there was the greatest falling away of people. For the first time in American history, the American people did not run back to church. They did not run back to church. Did you hear what I said?
But yet they're spiritually hungry.
But I'm telling you, that don't mean they don't believe in God. They just didn't go back to the church.
The institution.
They didn't go back to the institution is the problem. Yeah. And so I did the seminar this weekend in Tyson's Corner with the Sabbath Day keepers, and I did a workshop with a reverend from here, Reverend Murray, and the wars about music in the church. And he loves the hymns, and he fights very vociferously for the fact that the hymns should not be taken out of the church, and they need to be brought back because they are the foundations of the church. But I contend that the reason the young people, and not only am I contending this, but talking to young people, they consider those hymns to be slave songs. They don't want to hear them. They don't want to know them. And I finally figured out after some careful reading why. Young people, if they can't relate to it, they ain't got nothing to do with it. They don't want nothing to do with it. Whereas the older people look for the reverence, the revering of those songs because they're nostalgic, because they're their favorite songs, because they've grown up listening to them, and we know how we love how our childhood and the reflections. But the young people are not there. But we must remember, without young people, the church is dying. And the church is dying dead. Here in Baltimore, over the last couple of years, we've had over 13 mega churches to go bankrupt and close their doors. Just go out there in Owens Mills, out in that area, and look at those boarded up churches, that land sitting there they don't know what to do with, because people are not coming back to the church. The minister loved the song, well, praise God from whom. Everybody said, amen, amen. I said, okay, but let me show you the way I did it. Praise God from whom all bless. They said, well, we like it the other way. I said, I can tell you what. You can either think of the way I'm thinking of it, or you can continue to watch your churches empty. If young people can't relate to it, they are not coming to your churches. And you say, well, Patrick, how do you know that? Just Just look. You can go to any church in Baltimore, and the average congregation is graying, and I mean seriously graying. I was saw someone, one of the commissioners from a church I'd played at, and she was talking about it because the older people are dying off. It's so bad at their church now that they can't even hire a full-time minister. They've got a part-time minister because they cannot afford to pay the minister a full-time salary. And this is an old established neighborhood church in Ashburton, one of the pillars of the city as far as the community is concerned, and they can't even hire a full-time preacher. So you can continue in your thinking. And the lady who, I believe her name was LaTanya Owens, who contends that I'm praying to the God of the oppressors, please know nothing could be farther from the truth. I'm praying for the God of love, to the God of love, and the God of great possibilities. That's where my faith is, and that's what I believe in. We have a caller there, 410-481-1010, 410-481-1010. I'm trying to do a conversation with David Johnson Jr. I believe my producer Jason is trying to set something up where I come to his show, because this is not no military. This ain't no fighting. This is us trying to figure out what to do. If we do not vote this election, Trump will get another term. Yes, Richard.
Patrick, there's several things that when you're talking about voting, and I've sat down and I've looked at this. The way that it is looking now, and everybody has this on whether to vote or not to vote. But in this city, right now, I don't care what happens outside of the city. I'm looking at what's happening within the confines of the city of Baltimore. If people do not vote, we will get a mayor that doesn't look like us.
Come on, it's coming.
Now, this is why I say that.
Yeah.
Let's look at the contenders. You got Jack Young. You got Brandon Scott, and Sheila Dixon's the wild card in this. If she gets into the race, it'll be three people who will split the vote in that big East Baltimore block.
And then what happens? The white savior comes in.
Then you've got Eric Costello, Zeke Cohen, Bill Ferguson.
Yes.
So what happens is they split that vote in East Baltimore. 21215 in the African American community is one of the biggest
voting blocks
that vote now. What will happen is you will see a block form above Northern Parkway that will stretch from Park Heights all the way over through the private school land, all the way over
Gilman, and then
all the way over to York Road, and then you're going to have Federal Hill and Canton involved in it,
and they will vote.
They're gonna vote. Listen, hold on for a minute. We don't have to do a commercial. Yes, I guess we do. Hold on, Richard. Hold on, Eric. I'm coming to you next. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. 410-481-1010. Call in because it wants to hear what you got to say.
This is not the time to get distracted. And this is not the time to go off course. This is not the time to lose your focus. Got a work to do for the Lord, and you cannot afford to lose your way.
Talk in the day, soul at night on the new 1010 WOLB. New month, same problem. Not enough money to pay that mortgage bill? If you're behind on your mortgage, you may have a new problem this month. Foreclosure. Get a fresh start now. Call Jeff Cerroti to stop foreclosure at 410-999-8000. Set up a free in-office consultation with Jeff Cerroti to get your fresh start. Cerroti & Associates are the bankruptcy specialists. They've been helping Marylanders stop foreclosure and get out from under their mounting bills for over 25 years. New month, time to solve your problem. Call Cerroti & Associates at 410-999-8000 to set up a free in-office consultation. You'll sit down with Jeff Cerroti to discuss your situation. No obligation. But if you do proceed, mention WOLB for a special discount. Call today, 410-999-8000 or FreshStartLaw.com to get your financial fresh start and stop foreclosure with the bankruptcy specialist, Cerroti & Associates. Convenient to the Beltway with free parking. Call Cerroti & Associates today at 410-999-8000. We are a debt relief agency helping people file bankruptcy under the Bankruptcy Code.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000.
Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief took care of Eric's problem.
And now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-799-0977. 800-799-0977.
Optima Tax Relief.
Hello, this is Larry Young of the Larry Young Morning Show, and I appreciate you listening to my show every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. How would you like for your voice to be heard on WOLB 1010 a.m.? Call Kia at 410-907-0328. The cost is very reasonable, and it will give you an opportunity to have your very own show. Give Kia a call at 410-907-0328. Welcome to the family.
WOLB Baltimore and WER.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear on 1010 WOLB.
And management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
We're getting ready to testify up in here. When I look back over my life and I think things over, I know I got a testimony. I know you got one too, but I'm gonna let Sister Girl say. Oh yeah.
No, Lord Patrick.
I can truly say
Sunday morning on Monday.
All right, Jason, bring it down. Hey, come on in the room. This, but welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet. Hold on for a minute, Richard. Now, let me get him in because he's been holding for a minute. 410-481-1010. I'm coming right back to you, Richard. Go ahead, Eric. You have a question or comment, sir?
I have a comment.
All right, come forth.
Well, I'm glad that somebody finally said it in reference to what you were saying about the youth is not following, in their parents' footsteps in reference to the church.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people is conscious these days. It's not like how it was back in the day. The internet is a tool that you can use now to research all kinds of topics and things. And up to people when it comes to that Bible. And now without people, the light is starting to come on. In reference to what you was talking about, in reference to voting with the brother David, I understand what he's talking about. Now, this city been ran by Democrats for 60-some years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how many people I'm talking about? I don't care where you go. They tired of both parties.
Yep.
They tired of both parties. I'm talking about they tired of hearing the lies from the Democrats. They say all that stuff. They're getting off. You don't hear nothing. Fantown, Winchester, and parts of East Baltimore, Park Heights, been the same way it's been since a lot of us been children. And all these people been voted in. The only thing we keep hearing is, well, vote them in and it's going to change. Vote them in, that's going to change. And with the Republicans, it's no different. So a lot of people is becoming abstained from voting altogether. And so you have to put this blame at the feet of the politicians.
Yes, sir.
That's who you have to put the blame. You can't be mad at the citizens because the citizens don't go out and vote for. It's like voting for the gun or the knife. That's what it's like. That's how it feels. And so black people start to feel like we've been spitting our face over and over and over and over again by our own kind, and even the white people too.
Consistently,
just want to come flock in the community, get the votes out, you get the votes done.
Brother Eric,
so I understand what he's talking about.
I do. I understand too. But you know what? I have to say this, and because I'm really pondering this because I have such high respect for Brother David. When you're hungry, you don't stop eating because you eat something that didn't taste the way you wanted it. Don't you keep cooking it to try to make it better? Or you find a restaurant that you serve something that you didn't like, so the next time if you go to it again, you try something different? Why do we have a fatalistic attitude? Because it has been so bad. We've known it, and this is not the first. This has been going on forever. I contend that we should leave the Democratic Party and maybe look at the Green Party and take our vote there. Then we would really scare the hell out of them by doing that. But my point.
in his defense, I mean, he was giving us, different food menu to choose from and different ways to try to, cultivate the land and feed ourselves. But it's real deep and it's real serious. I mean, it's a great time for our people and for this country right now. I think that anybody that's running, we need to get them passed. I told you before, we need them to get signed on the dotted line.
Yes, sir.
Our demands.
Yes, sir. I'm with you 100%. I say we should do
that. We vote them out because you broke that. That's something that you broke.
I agree.
If you've noticed the Republicans, they're always having some kind of document that they want you to sign.
You have to sign. They
had a tax document with Grover Norquist.
Yes, sir.
And everybody signed off.
Man, you have a good day.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you so much. I appreciate your conversation there. Richard, come on. What were you saying? I see you, Mark. I see you. There's another Eric, I suppose. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. I didn't. Go ahead, Richard. What were you saying?
Well, all I'm going to say is right now, this is at a point where you could have a white mayor and a white president of the city council very, very easily, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop it.
But what about the fact that we were having a conversation, James and I, about the fact that who's vying for the black vote? He's saying that Zeke Cohen is doing a lot of stuff on Facebook to kind of show that he hears and he feels us.
Exactly. That's where it's going to start coming from. But here's the problem. Do you believe them? I don't believe.
I don't either. There's no.
And if you don't believe them, then a lot of people are not going to be voting. Period. And the less people that vote will increase that big block that I described, and then that'll put them all in. And then two, the number of black Democrats that you're going to have running for these seats are going to cancel. A lot of people are going to get canceled.
Yes, that's the way it always works.
But we also don't confront the folks.
Yeah,
we vote them in, and then
they
leave
lie
them
to
alone.
us, and they get elected.
Too many of the citizens have been programmed over the years, and then two, a lot of us vote just because they're black, just because they've been there a while, just because they've been endorsed, because they don't want to. People are too lazy to do their homework in order to.
We won't read. We won't watch the Jason.
I was going to say it's kind of like what happened with Lawrence Bell and Martin O'Malley.
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So it's the same thing. We know the game, but that 35% elected the last mayor too, didn't they?
Yes.
That 35%. And look what we got, Pew, and I was one of the one endorsing her behind. Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. And I live next door to her. And
I'm ready to pinch me over here.
Oh, I was. But Lord, was I ever wrong? And God forgive me, because I tell you what, and I don't feel sorry for her. She lived next door to me, and I have not seen her since this happened.
I was going to ask you about that.
No, I haven't seen
She's in town.
her. Well, I know she's in town because the light to her bedroom.
They said she went grocery shopping a couple of weeks ago.
She did?
Yeah.
Well, my neighbor, who's a policeman, lives across the street from me, directly across the street. He's got a straight view to her house. He said he saw her sitting on the porch one day. So I'm sure she must be in shame and she must be embarrassed by this whole thing. But I tell you, I told her, God don't like ugly. When you mess with God's children, because I was trying to get her to put some filters on the watering fountains in the schools, but she said she didn't have the money to do it. And look, she had hundreds of thousands of dollars to have done it. Had her personal banking account to do it. Thomas Santa Lisa. So she was dishonest, and the Lord don't like ugly, and especially when you fool with his children. As my mama told me, and I believe that to the dying day.
Patrick, going back to the church really quick, are you familiar with Anthony Charles Williams II, Tone?
Yeah,
Tone.
Yeah, one of the greatest singers on earth.
So Tone had an interview a few years back where he talked about why the church was losing its congregation, and he identified several things. He said the quartets and the building of the choir in the church, because the choir to him was the glue that kind of held everything together
for years
within the church and gave church members something to do that weren't necessarily, as religious. It would get them involved. And looking at it from his perspective, him being younger, because he was born in the late 70s, he has a interesting take on that. That you don't see in a lot of churches anymore. The building of the choir, the support of the quartets.
No.
And in some cases, like you said, taking the hymns and twisting the hymns and just jazzing them up a little bit. And what you do see in the white community is you see the building up of worship in the white community, and they now have rock and roll and bands, full bands, playing now. I even saw there's a new program on Sundays that comes on. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see it, where there's like a whole, like they play more music than anything.
Because that's what the people love. I was telling you all earlier, the woman that preached this weekend talking about she had never seen nobody singing their way into heaven or singing their way into something, and said that was just bad information because it's not true. They ain't nobody preaching. There ain't gonna be no preaching in heaven either. But I would just wanted to help us to understand that all these conditions for loving God, it has nothing to do with God. My father named it right years ago. He called them house rules. Okay, the preacher decides what you're going to do inside his church. It's not his church. I went over to one of the biggest churches here in the city, and I was upset because it was an election time coming up, and they refused to let the people in the audience ask questions. The questions had to be written down and submitted before they held the conference. And I went off. I went off right up, and I stood up and said, this is not your house. This is God's house. This is the people's house. And if you keep doing this stuff, it'll be more empty than it is right now. And this is what is happening. People are acting like these house rules are running the people away. People ain't got time for choir rehearsals no more. I've got 4 choir members, and I used to have, at West Angeles, I had 5 choirs. I had a budget of $300,000 a year. I had musicians, staffs of musicians. We all had 401ks and insurance policies and everything else that we needed because and he understood the power of music. He told me that a great organist in the church was good for $70,000, $80,000 in income for the church. He understood the power of music. He wasn't being naive about it. But all you people that's acting like this about the preacher, God bless his soul, we love them because they do bring the word. But it's them choir members, it's them musicians that touch them people's heart and brings them to tears and give them a song to sing for the rest of the week. 410-481-1010. Brother Mark, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, Mark Cannon, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, look, check this out, man. Great show, and Patrick, I'm so glad, man. You got your co-host and Bubby and different people calling. It's a different time.
Yes, it is.
Right now, Patrick.
Yes.
They can't pull the wool over our eyes. Number one, you can be upset with local officials, not doing what they're supposed to be doing in City Hall. And my thing is the youth fund. I stay on top of that because of this reason. Pat, I've been in the call to action meeting. Brother Marvin, Umar Box for 22 years.
Umar, yes. 22
years on Jewel. No Hooks Before Books. .org is their website. And he's been going to that call to action meeting maybe a couple of years now. And Jack Young, I told you before. Now this time he said he had 23 million. He did come to the first call to action meeting after Pew left. And when the lady went off and said, "Look, I'm tired of coming here and not getting no money," and I told you, he said he didn't like the job. He didn't like. He didn't have any money, and he don't know why they weren't getting no money, and everybody wants money.
Needs money.
You got $24 million. He did not help the mayor out when she was doing the car with the money with the grassroots. None of those people, Miles, he knew how to write grants and all that stuff. It wasn't about that stuff. Patrick, and he's doing the same thing. Coach tried to nail him down. He said it didn't work. He's doing the same thing. Marvin said yesterday he didn't get funded for the summer. Man, those people that's helping out young people out here are not getting funded. He's doing the same thing again, Pat. And he's on a beautiful struggle, whoever the hell they are.
Yeah.
And Black Charity.
We asked him the other day on Larry Wallace show. What was he doing for the? I said, Mark, we asked him the other day on Larry Wallace show.
Mr. Young, the mayor? Yes.
No, we're talking about Mr. Umar boxing. we asked him, did he get some support from the youth fund? And he told us absolutely no.
Nothing.
And he's struggling to try to expand a summer program because we asked him, did he have a summer program? And he said, unfortunately, he really doesn't have the financial resources for a summer program.
How much money do we have in our rainy day fund? Is it $150 million?
Well,
We didn't even show up.
That's a late last
We
year
didn't
was
show up to the
144
last
million.
meeting.
Hold on for a minute, Mark. What were you saying, Richard?
44 million.
As of October of last year, it was reported the fund was at 144 million.
Is not that 144 million helping us keeping our AAA rating, a AA rating?
That's what it's supposed to be doing.
So is that why we contend that they're not touching it?
I guess so, yeah.
So when does the rainy day come? What could be more rainy day than right now? And LBS, God bless you all, but me and Wayne-O told y'all what they were going to do to you, and we were trying to get involved in it. We came to the meetings, we made suggestions about things to do, and all of them were ignored. And now you guys have got a little shade on you because of what happened with those funding. And I haven't heard you come on the radio. You haven't called my show. I even tried to get you to come on the air to explain, and none of you have. So that implies that
we've had 32 homicides in the last 30 days. If that doesn't say you need a rainy day fund to be
I don't know what
released, I don't know what.
And, and we were short. Richard, do you remember the amount we're short as far as the Summer Youth Works job program is concerned? That's where you pull money out of the rainy day for to make sure that our children have something to do for the summertime and be able to earn something.
All right, we're going back to the phones. Mark, was that it? Yeah, thank you so much for your commentary. And Mark has a show every other Sunday at 5:30, right, Mark?
Hey, Pat, could I say, thank you. But look, he didn't even show up slapping the face to the last call to action meeting because he already knew that he wasn't going to get them no money, man. It's shameful.
Well, then he's thinking about running for mayor. We can already tell him.
He's keeping his options open.
He's keeping his option open. Well, that's one that's going to keep you from it.
I appreciate it, man. I'm on every second and fourth Sunday at 5.
All right, that Mark Cannon show, y'all. It's a great show.
Man. Be blessed.
God bless you, too. Thank you. Tommy, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People, 410-481-1010, 410-481-1010. You have 12 minutes to call in and get your thoughts out. We'd love to hear it. We're hoping you're calling with solutions. We know what the problems are. But really, when you call in, let us know what you think we should do. And more than, I don't care how far-fetched it is. Let's just see what you've got to say. 410-481-1010. And you're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Tommy, you have a question or comment, sir?
I have a comment.
Come forth.
Oh, by the way, how you doing, Mr. Patrick? And yes.
We're doing well, sir. How are you?
Good.
Well, I'm fine. Well, I'm part of the younger generation, a faction within the black community.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's plenty of other younger black youth that think like me. I don't believe in the church anymore.
Wow. Do you believe in God, or not just the church? Is it you believe in God, or you don't believe in the church? Which is it?
Well, I don't believe in the church, and even God is a concept that was created by human beings, also, in my opinion. So, I'm not an atheist because I think for you to be an atheist, you have to know all the information. And as far as human beings, we're just at the infancy as far as accumulating knowledge about our entire existence. So, I think atheists are just as put it this way, they just don't know either. I think that people, that's my opinion. And people that say they know, I don't believe they know either. People that say they're religious and they believe in God, I don't understand how they just believe in something where there's absolutely no proof. In either direction. So my answer is, and I think everyone's answer as far as, the God and this religion thing is, I think it should be, you don't know. I think when you say that, then you're truthful to yourself. That's just my opinion. And as far as the church, people going to church, I'm really happy to see people, that you have less people going to church, because I believe that it's all a made up fantasy reality, kind of warped type of reality that's actually not factual. I don't know if that makes sense. So in other words,
you know what though? Listen, but there was a time period. And the reason they gave us their God, they wrote the Bible, was because they knew that and I read this years ago, that we were the only people who were superstitious enough. White folks wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't be slaves. The Indians said, yeah, take your God and stuff him up your. We were the only people who were superstitious enough to believe, because we already believed that there was a higher being than us. As Africans, it was endemic to our people. And so we were susceptible to it. But then when we didn't have any way out of to be free, then that was our only hope, was that someday we was going to die and everything's going to be all right when we get to heaven, because that's what they told us. And consequently, 90% of the music that we sang in church was about dying.
Going up yonder.
Going up yonder, crossing over one by one. I heard some yesterday on the radio, and I go, why do we have this a fixation on dying, and we've never lived? So Jordan, to see the ships go.
Because in some cases, dying is better than being here.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
That was a salve.
Yes.
For people.
Do you agree, Tommy?
Absolutely. I studied all that. It's a perfect fit for black people and what we went through. And that's why you see a lot of black people, because we went through so much. We tend to go to the churches more. We tend to believe in these things more. It was just a perfect fit.
It was a perfect, yeah.
And at that time, we were blind. Now we're starting to see more. I mean, well, at least me and other people that think like
Well, check this out. Yes, I agree with you, but it was also a place where we could come and have status, wasn't it? It was a place where we could hold office, come in and have some prestige extended to us, build things, send our kids to school. The church had a purpose.
And you had some political power.
And had some political power.
But I do believe that there is a creator, Patrick.
I do too.
Did you happen to get a chance to look at my Facebook and watch the encounter about that young man that came on one of the programs here at WLB? The young man had died. And they said he was clinically dead. They actually were getting ready to wrap him up. All right. And he actually had an outer body experience and actually saw the creator. And matter of fact, that's a question to you as well, because you had a near death experience as well.
Pronounced DOA, yeah.
Correct. At any time did you have?
Yes, okay. I did. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I know that God exists.
Correct.
I know that there is a higher power.
Correct.
Go ahead, Tommy.
But Mr. Patrick, see, to your guest, being clinically dead isn't the same as being dead.
Dead, right.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
So to me, when you're clinically dead or you're going through that stage,
there's no heartbeat.
Hello?
There was no heartbeat. Go ahead.
Right, exactly. So you probably have certain experiences that the average human being doesn't really experience.
I agree.
So it's difficult to study that type of realm. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he actually saw the creator. He saw something. No. I mean, that's the way I look at it. He saw something.
I'm telling you that according to the doctors that spoke to him, he says that it's virtually impossible for you to dream, hallucinate, or do anything
in that state.
But
what about the little white boy that died and came back and told all the people, I saw God, I saw Jesus, and he's a nigger. He's a nigger, y'all. He's a nigger. So I mean, thank you, Tommy. I was trying to put a little levity on it. Thomas, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment? I didn't say it. That was a quote.
Okay. Where's that disclaimer?
Yeah. Thomas, you have a question or comment?
Who did that little white boy?
A little white boy. He saw Jesus and he was a nigger. He said he came back and told him, he said, y'all, wait a minute, hold on. I saw him. He is a nigger. That's what the little white boy said. Okay.
Listen, let me say,
and I do believe the creator has color. So.
Of course he does.
Let me do say this. I don't know anybody in my lifetime, living or dead, that's ever been dead and came back from the dead. I haven't seen it yet. And I probably, and be honest with you, I don't want to see it right now. But I will say this. Let me talk about my kids, okay?
Okay.
Patrick, our kids are being used as an scapegoat right now in the city. Jack Young has been in office. Jason, how long has Jack been in office?
20 plus years.
As mayor or as city council chair?
Well, we're talking about an elected capacity.
Office.
Correct, holding government, right.
He's been in office over 20 years as an elected official. Jack Young ain't just now discovered that these kids are a problem, okay? Jack Young is doing the bidding right now, guys, of your corporations and your developers.
That's what I keep hearing. Everybody's saying that to me. That's why he can't decide. He might change his mind about running for mayor. Is that your contention?
Jack Young was always going to run for mayor, okay? The opportunity just
behoove him or just got in front of him now that he can run for mayor now. Because think about this. I remember him saying that he didn't want to run for mayor. But then you got a city council president who wanted to run for mayor. So if that's the case, why don't him and Brandon Scott right now, instead of having an election, just flip spots right now? Jeff would have what he wants. Brandon would have what he wants. But the developers don't want that. And to show you what I know that I'm talking about, guys, look at who Jack is surrounding himself with.
Who?
Okay?
Tell us who it is.
Cheryl Goldstein. Okay? That's one of your main corporates right there of the Able Foundation.
Okay.
How deep is the Able Foundation, guys, into our city politics?
Very deeply. Yes.
Very deeply into our city politics. Okay?
Always have been.
Now, what comes along with the Able Foundation, guys, is Johns Hopkins Hospital. Okay? Jack says that he's not a part of any board anymore. But he didn't tell you what boards he was a part of.
Oh, come on, listen. All right, listen, Thomas. We're going to pick this back up next week. I'm going to try to get to Sharon. We got 3 more minutes. Thank you. Is this Thomas? Which Thomas is this?
Briggs. This is me, Pat.
Hey, your voice sounds different today, but God bless you. My brother, man, is healed of prostate cancer. Glory be to God. Love you without any cancer, without any treatment.
I know what God can do, guys.
Yeah.
My PSA levels was 790. Okay? By all means, I should have been out of here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But there is a God.
Yes, there is a God. Thank you, and I believe it too. Sharon, welcome. Wait, hold on before Sharon. 410-481-1010. We got 3 more minutes too, because I'm gonna give Sharon one of them. Sharon, go ahead, sweetheart.
Okay. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing great. How are you?
And your co-workers, and I want to say hi to all of them too as well.
Hello.
Yes, there is a God out here. People don't believe it, but it is one. And my son was in a situation where his life was almost taken by a guy trying to kill him. And what he did to my son didn't make sense. But my son told me he lost a lot of blood, and he said he seen one of his best friends. It was like a brother to him. And as he was leaving to get ready to expire, his friend said, "Come on and come with me." And he said. Something just made him say, don't want to go. He said it was a bright light. And my son was almost taken away from him by someone that wanted to kill him, somebody he never knew. And it's just a doggone shame. But the only thing I got to say, Patrick, when you don't believe in God and when things happen and when it don't go right, don't say nothing. Because I have testimonies, I know.
I know too, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for letting me comment.
No, yes, bless you for what you're saying. See, it's great to have something to believe in. Even if you can't see it, nobody's ever seen it because God is a spirit. But remember, love is a spirit. That's where we get a lot confused a whole bunch of times. Richard?
Yeah.
Did you have a closing statement, sir?
Yes. It's getting serious now.
Yeah, it is.
And we have to start thinking. And we have to start reading, and we have to start making choices, some
decisions,
of which is that we don't want to do because we think we're abandoning our principles.
And we're not. We're searching. We're looking for a better way to do things. James, do you have a comment? Come quickly.
Yes. His ways are not our ways. That's all
I
gotta
say. They're not. And I'm telling you, there's some supernatural stuff going on up in this world. Because if it wasn't, we would have killed all the white folks a long time ago. God bless each and every one of you all. Jason, have a great day. We'll see you all
family. Go out there and do something special for someone other than yourself.
Yes.
Make life better.
Yes, and we'll see you next Sunday and hear you next Sunday at 3:30 on WWRN and here on WLB and here every Monday at 11:30. God bless. Have a great week and tell somebody of His goodness and you might lift them up. Have a great week. Speak to you shortly.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore. Brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel.
Hey, my friend's retail store was the victim of IoT password theft.
Yep. Cyber criminals are taking over security cameras, payment systems, and other IoT devices by exploiting vulnerabilities.
What if they target us and our dispersed network?
We're secured with Barracuda. We have advanced firewalls for our sites, enhanced security for our cloud infrastructure, and total email protection.
Such a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Sergeant Alberto Velasco faced an uncertain future after serving his country.
At the age of 27, I was involved in a motor vehicle accident. Mentally and physically, I was just done. I don't know where I would be without paralyzed veterans.
Winston Woodard III, Paralyzed Veterans of America.
My job as a service officer is to ensure these veterans have what they need to thrive and move forward with their lives. And we are there providing expertise with VA benefits, assistance, and advocacy.
Thank you, Paralyzed Veterans.
Learn more at pva.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service.